Imagine walking into a doctor's office. You're not feeling great, headache, fever, sore throat. The doctor takes a quick look and says, it's probably the flu. But what if there was another way? What if an AI system trained on thousands, maybe millions of cases could assist the doctor in making a faster, more accurate diagnosis? Would you trust it? That's exactly what we're exploring today. How AI is revolutionizing medical diagnosis using a technique called Bernoulli Naive Bayes. It sounds complicated, but by the end of this video, you'll see how it works in real-world healthcare, how hospitals are using it right now, and why it could save lives. Stick around to the end because we're not just talking theory. We'll break it down with real examples, show you how it works in Python, and even discuss what's next for AI in medicine. If you're in tech, healthcare, or just curious about how AI will shape the future, this is for you. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We bring real-world AI insights, explained simply, so you don't just learn, but actually understand how it works. Now, let's get started. Imagine this. You wake up feeling terrible. Your head is pounding, your throat is sore, and you've got chills running down your spine. It's probably just the flu, right? But what if it's something more serious? What if those symptoms are actually the first signs of something rare, something that even your doctor might overlook? Now, let's zoom out. Picture a crowded hospital on a Monday morning. The waiting room is packed. The nurses are scrambling. The doctors are moving at lightning speed, seeing patient after patient, making snap decisions based on symptoms they've seen 1,000 times before. But here's the thing. Medicine isn't always obvious. Symptoms can be deceiving. The common cold and pneumonia can start off the same way. A migraine and a brain tumor, sometimes even the symptoms overlap. Even the best doctors rely on experience, intuition, and probability, but they're still human. They're juggling hundreds of cases, working long shifts, and facing time pressure that forces them to make quick calls. And while experience is powerful, it has limits. What if there was a way to check every patient's symptoms against millions of past cases? What if instead of a guess, doctors had a second opinion that was purely mathematical, based on hard data, and completely unbiased? That's where AI steps in. The AI model we're talking about today, Bernoulli Naive Bayes, doesn't rely on intuition. It calculates. It sees every symptom as a binary decision. Fever? Yes or no. Cough? Yes or no. Chest pain? Yes or no. And in seconds, it can predict the probability of different diseases, just like a doctor making an educated guess, but powered by thousands, even millions of past cases. Sounds incredible, right? But here's the real question. Can an AI actually diagnose better than a doctor? Can we trust it? Imagine you're in a casino, standing in front of a game where the rules are simple. You press a button, and there are only two possible outcomes: win or lose. No in-betweens, no partial wins, just one or the other. You play the game enough times and patterns start to emerge. Maybe you win 30% of the time, maybe 70%, but over time you get a sense of the probability behind the game. Now, shift that thought into the world of medicine. A patient walks into a doctor's office coughing and shivering. The doctor starts mentally checking off symptoms. Fever, yes. Cough, yes. Shortness of breath, no. Right there, they're subconsciously playing the same probability game as you were in the casino. Based on years of experience, they've seen this pattern before. Maybe 80% of patients with these symptoms have the flu, 15% have pneumonia, and 5% have something else. The diagnosis isn't magic. It's pattern recognition built from experience. But what if you could replace that human experience with raw data? What if, instead of relying on memory and intuition, you had a system that could instantly calculate the probability of every possible disease based on thousands, even millions of past cases? That's where the Bernoulli distribution comes in. At its core, the Bernoulli distribution is the mathematical backbone behind these types of yes or no, black and white decisions. Every symptom, every test result, every patient record can be broken down into one of two possibilities: present or absent, positive or negative, 1 or 0. Fever, yes or no. Cough, yes or no. Does the patient have the disease? Yes or no. This is the exact logic that powers Bernoulli Naive Bayes, the machine learning model that's transforming medical diagnosis. It doesn't try to analyze symptoms the way a doctor would. It doesn't deal in shades of uncertainty. It simply takes raw data and calculates probabilities. If historically 90% of flu patients have had a fever, then when a new patient walks in with a fever, that number gets factored into the equation. If only 20% of pneumonia patients get chills, then that factor gets adjusted accordingly. Every symptom adds weight to the decision, pushing the probability in one direction or another, until the AI delivers an answer. Based on the data, the patient most likely has this condition. What makes this so powerful is its simplicity. Unlike deep learning models that require enormous datasets and complex computations, the Bernoulli distribution thrives in situations where data is limited but structured. That's why it works so well in medicine, where diagnoses often boil down to a series of binary tests. It's why this method is already being used in hospitals to assist with disease detection, helping doctors make faster, more accurate decisions. But here's the real question. Is this binary approach enough? Can an AI that sees everything in black and white truly understand the messy, complex world of human health? That's what we'll explore in the next slide. Imagine stepping into the shoes of a doctor in a fast-paced hospital. Patients are coming in one after another, each with a unique mix of symptoms. Some have a cough, some have a fever, some feel exhausted but don't have any visible signs of illness. The doctor has to process all this information in seconds, deciding who gets treatment, who needs more tests, and who just needs rest at home. But what if, instead of intuition and experience, the doctor had something else? A tool that could instantly scan every past case in medical history and tell them exactly what the patient is likely suffering from? That's where binary variables come into play. To a human, a diagnosis is a complex, nuanced process. To an AI, it's a structured data problem, where symptoms are nothing more than yes or no questions. Instead of trying to interpret feelings, behaviors, or subtle variations, AI reduces everything to pure data points. Think of it like a medical checklist. Fever, yes or no. Cough, yes or no. Shortness of breath, yes or no. The AI doesn't ask how bad the fever is, how long the cough has lasted, or whether the patient looks particularly unwell. It just sees a series of binary decisions. It's like flipping switches, on or off, 1 or 0. The more switches flipped in a particular pattern, the stronger the probability of a certain diagnosis. This is exactly how Bernoulli Naive Bayes operates. It doesn't get caught up in the complexities of human symptoms. It doesn't need context, emotions, or second guesses. It looks at a massive data set of past patients and sees patterns in the numbers. If 85% of patients with flu had a fever, that data gets factored into the calculation. If 70% of pneumonia cases had a cough, but only 20% of flu cases did, the AI weighs that information accordingly. And the more data it has, the smarter it becomes. It refines its probabilities with every new patient, learning to detect even the subtlest correlations that doctors might overlook. In a way, it's like having the combined knowledge of every doctor who has ever lived, stored in a system that never forgets, never gets tired, and never relies on gut instinct. But there's a challenge. While binary variables make AI incredibly efficient at spotting patterns, they also simplify things too much. Humans aren't simple yes or no cases. Symptoms can vary in intensity, overlap with multiple diseases, or change over time. A patient might have a mild fever and a cough today, but develop shortness of breath tomorrow. AI doesn't always handle that well because it doesn't understand context. It only sees snapshots of data frozen in time. So the real question is, can an AI that reduces everything to ones and zeros really compete with human intuition, or does it need something more? That's what we'll explore next. Imagine you're in a crowded emergency room. A dozen patients just walked in, each with different symptoms. Some coughing, some sweating, some struggling to breathe. The doctor needs to act fast, but there's a problem. There's no time for full diagnostic tests, no time for complex lab work. Decisions need to be made now. Who gets treated first? Who needs immediate attention? Who is safe to send home? This is where Bernoulli Naive Bayes becomes a game changer. It works like a medical triage assistant, rapidly scanning through symptoms and giving doctors an immediate, probability-based diagnosis. Unlike other machine learning models that analyze deep layers of data, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is built for speed and simplicity. It doesn't need massive data sets. It doesn't require thousands of calculations. It operates on a single powerful idea. What's the probability that a disease is present based on binary symptom data? Here's how it works. First, the AI gathers data. Every patient record is converted into a binary feature set, a series of yes or no values. Did the patient have a fever? Yes. Did they have a cough? No. Shortness of breath? Yes. Each symptom gets logged as either 1 or 0, just like flipping switches on a control panel. Once the data is set, the model starts its calculations. It applies Bayes' theorem, a mathematical formula that calculates the probability of one event happening given that another event has already occurred. In this case, it determines, given that a patient has fever, cough, and fatigue, what's the probability they have the flu? What about pneumonia? What about something else? The AI then assigns probabilities to each possible disease and picks the most likely one. Just like a doctor making an educated guess, but without bias, without fatigue, and without missing a single data point. This makes Bernoulli Naive Bayes one of the most efficient AI classifiers for binary problems like medical diagnosis. It's already being used in spam detection, sentiment analysis, and even fraud detection, anywhere decisions need to be made quickly based on simple yes, no data. But in medicine, its potential is revolutionary. Imagine a world where every hospital, every clinic, and every doctor's office has instant AI-powered decision support, where diseases are detected earlier, rare conditions are spotted faster, and life-saving treatments start sooner. That's the promise of Bernoulli Naive Bayes in healthcare. But even with all its strengths, this model has limitations. It assumes that every symptom is independent of the others, a huge oversimplification in medicine. It also struggles with non-binary data, where symptoms vary in severity rather than just being present or absent. So is Bernoulli Naive Bayes really the best tool for medical diagnosis, or does it need something more powerful to handle the complexity of human health? That's what we'll explore next. Imagine a young doctor fresh out of medical school stepping into a packed hospital for their first shift. There's no time to second guess, no time to pull out textbooks. Patients are flooding in, each with symptoms that could mean anything from a mild infection to a life-threatening condition. The pressure is intense. Every decision could mean the difference between life and death. Now, imagine giving that doctor an instant second opinion, a tool that has seen millions of cases, remembers every possible symptom pattern, and calculates disease probabilities in real time. That's what Bernoulli Naive Bayes brings to the table. It isn't just another AI model. It's a high-speed, high-accuracy diagnosis assistant built for speed, simplicity, and reliability. One of its greatest strengths is how well it performs with small data sets. Unlike deep learning models that require mountains of data to function properly, Bernoulli Naive Bayes can make accurate predictions even when data is limited. That's a huge advantage in medical research, rare disease detection, and emergency situations where gathering large amounts of patient data isn't always possible. Another key advantage is its ability to ignore irrelevant information. In real-world diagnosis, not every symptom matters equally. A patient's hair color has nothing to do with whether they have pneumonia. Their height is irrelevant to diagnosing the flu. Bernoulli Naive Bayes naturally filters out useless data, focusing only on the symptoms that matter, allowing for faster, cleaner decision-making. And let's talk about efficiency. In a world where hospitals are constantly overloaded, where every extra minute could save a life, speed is everything. Bernoulli Naive Bayes runs calculations in linear time, meaning it can analyze hundreds, even thousands of patient records almost instantly. While other models might require hours of processing, this one delivers results in seconds, making it ideal for real-time diagnosis tools. But perhaps the biggest advantage of all, it's incredibly easy to implement. The math behind Bernoulli Naive Bayes is straightforward. The computations are simple, and because it requires minimal data pre-processing, it's one of the fastest ways to integrate AI into healthcare systems without months of complex setup. Fast, accurate, easy to use. This model sounds like the perfect solution for AI-driven diagnosis. But here's the twist. It's not perfect. Every tool has weaknesses, and Bernoulli Naive Bayes is no exception. Its biggest flaw? The assumption of feature independence. It treats every symptom as if it has no connection to the others. But in medicine, that's rarely the case. Fever and cough often go together. Chest pain and shortness of breath could signal something much worse than a simple infection. But to Bernoulli Naive Bayes, each symptom is just another yes or no switch, analyzed in isolation. And then there's the issue of non-binary data. What if a symptom isn't just present or absent, but has different levels of severity? What if the temperature of a fever matters? What if the intensity of pain makes a difference? Bernoulli Naive Bayes isn't built for that kind of complexity. It only works when everything is black or white, 1 or 0. So while it's an incredible tool, it has its limits. And that raises an important question. How do we work around these weaknesses? Can we modify Bernoulli Naive Bayes, or do we need an entirely different approach? Picture this, a hospital relying on an AI diagnosis system. A patient walks in with a mild fever and a slight cough. The AI, powered by Bernoulli Naive Bayes, scans the symptoms and calculates probabilities. The system flags it as a high chance of flu and sends the patient home with rest instructions. But what if it missed something? What if this wasn't the flu at all, but the early stages of pneumonia? This is the problem with assumption-based AI models. They work brilliantly in many cases, but fall short when the world isn't as simple as their equations. The biggest limitation of Bernoulli Naive Bayes is its assumption of feature independence. The model treats every symptom as if it exists in isolation, as if a fever has nothing to do with a cough, as if chest pain has no connection to shortness of breath. But in medicine, that's rarely true. Symptoms interact, they evolve, they combine in ways that matter. A human doctor understands that a sore throat, a cough, and swollen lymph nodes together are far more indicative of strep throat than any one of those symptoms alone. But to Bernoulli Naive Bayes, each symptom is just another binary input, yes or no, 1 or 0, completely independent. Another major weakness is how it handles non-binary data. Medical conditions aren't just black or white. A fever isn't simply present or absent. It could be mild, moderate, or dangerously high. A patient's breathing difficulty isn't just yes or no. It could be barely noticeable or severe enough to require oxygen support. But Bernoulli Naive Bayes can't process that nuance. It forces everything into a binary box, which means critical details get lost. Then there's the issue of class imbalance. In real-world medical data, not all diseases are equally represented. Flu cases might make up 90% of a dataset, while something rare like meningitis might only account for 1%. If the AI is trained on this dataset, it might start assuming everything is the flu simply because that's what it has seen the most. This creates a bias toward common conditions, making it less reliable for detecting rare but dangerous diseases. And let's not forget data quality. The AI is only as good as the data it learns from. If the training data set is incomplete, if symptoms are inconsistently recorded, if past misdiagnoses exist in the data, the AI will inherit those errors. Instead of being a flawless medical assistant, it could end up making the same mistakes doctors have made in the past, but at scale. So while Bernoulli Naive Bayes is fast, efficient, and incredibly useful in many scenarios, it's not the ultimate solution for medical diagnosis. It works best when symptoms can be clearly defined as present or absent, when features are truly independent, and when the dataset is well balanced and complete. But medicine is messy, unpredictable, and full of interconnected symptoms that don't fit neatly into binary categories. So what's the alternative? Are there other AI models that handle complexity, dependencies, and non-binary data better? Imagine two AI doctors in a hospital, both trained to diagnose patients based on symptoms. One is Dr. Bernoulli, a quick and decisive decision maker who looks at symptoms as a simple yes or no. Fever, yes. Cough, no. Chest pain, yes. Based on these simple inputs, he rapidly calculates the probability of each disease and makes a diagnosis in seconds. Then there's Dr. Multinomial, who takes a slightly different approach. Instead of just looking at whether a symptom is present, he also considers how often certain symptoms appear in the data. He notices that some symptoms show up more frequently in certain diseases and adjusts his predictions accordingly. Both AI doctors are using naive Bayes classification, but they work in different ways. Bernoulli Naive Bayes treats symptoms as binary. It only considers whether a symptom is present or not. This makes it extremely fast and effective for cases where symptoms are clearly defined, like spam detection, medical tests, or sentiment analysis, situations where everything can be reduced to a simple yes or no decision. Multinomial naive Bayes, on the other hand, is better suited for count-based data, where the number of occurrences matters. It's often used in text classification, where words that appear multiple times in a document influence the classification. In a medical setting, it could be useful for analyzing patterns in symptom frequency rather than just their presence. Imagine two patients both experiencing coughing. The first patient has coughed a few times today, while the second has been coughing constantly for a week. Dr. Bernoulli sees both cases the same way. Cough is present, period. But Dr. Multinomial sees the second case as far more significant because the symptom appears more frequently. So which AI doctor is better? If we're working with binary medical tests, where we just need to classify a patient as having or not having a condition, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is a great fit. It's fast, simple, and doesn't require complex data. But if we need to consider how often a symptom appears or how strongly it presents in different cases, Multinomial Naive Bayes can offer a more nuanced view. Ultimately, the choice between Bernoulli and multinomial naive Bayes comes down to the nature of the data. If symptoms are clearly present or absent, Bernoulli works best. If we need to analyze patterns in symptom frequency, multinomial is the better option. But what happens when neither of these models is enough? What if the human body is too complex for a simple probability-based classifier? That's where more advanced AI models come in, and that's what we'll explore next. Imagine waking up to find hundreds of unread emails in your inbox. Among them, there are messages from your boss, a reminder about your doctor's appointment, and of course, a suspicious email claiming you've won $1 million. You didn't enter a lottery, but somehow you're the lucky winner. You don't even need to open it. You already know it's spam. But how does your email provider know? This is where Bernoulli Naive Bayes works behind the scenes, classifying emails based on the presence or absence of specific words. If an email contains phrases like "congratulations," "please claim your prize," or "limited time offer," the model recognizes it as spam and moves it to your junk folder, all within a fraction of a second. And this same logic, binary classification using probability, is being used across industries, including medicine. One of the biggest applications of Bernoulli Naive Bayes in healthcare is medical diagnosis. Hospitals are already integrating AI models to help detect diseases based on patient symptoms. A system trained on thousands of past cases can instantly scan a patient's medical records and symptoms, then predict the most likely diagnosis. Take pneumonia detection, for example. Doctors rely on symptoms like fever, cough, and shortness of breath to diagnose the disease. Instead of analyzing these symptoms manually, an AI model can process them in binary form, is the symptom present or not, and determine the likelihood of pneumonia based on past cases. The AI doesn't replace the doctor, but it provides a fast, data-driven second opinion. Another major application is sentiment analysis in healthcare. Hospitals and clinics receive thousands of patient reviews and feedback. Instead of manually reading each review, AI can analyze the language used in these texts and classify them as positive, neutral, or negative. For example, if a review contains words like excellent service or caring doctors, the AI recognizes it as a positive experience. But if it finds words like long wait times or misdiagnosed, it flags it as negative feedback, helping hospitals improve patient care. Beyond healthcare, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is also widely used in fraud detection. Banks and financial institutions use it to detect suspicious transactions by analyzing patterns in customer behavior. A legitimate purchase follows a predictable pattern, but an unusual one, like a sudden withdrawal from a foreign country, might be flagged as potential fraud. From spam filtering to disease detection, from patient reviews to fraud prevention, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is one of the most efficient AI models for binary classification problems. But how do we actually build and train this model? How can we take all this theory and turn it into a real-world AI system? Imagine you're in a hospital working alongside a team of doctors. You have access to thousands of patient records, each one containing symptoms and their corresponding diagnoses. Your task? Build an AI model that can predict diseases instantly based on symptoms. This is where Python and Bernoulli Naive Bayes come into play. To train an AI like this, the first step is data collection. You need a dataset containing patient records, each structured in a way that AI can understand. The symptoms in each record must be converted into binary form: present, 1, or absent, 0. A patient with fever, cough, and fatigue might be represented as 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, while another patient with no fever but severe chest pain could look like 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. Once the data is structured, it's time to train the model. In Python, this process is incredibly straightforward, thanks to the scikit-learn library. With just a few lines of code, you can import the dataset, pre-process the data, train the model, and make predictions. The AI works by learning from past cases. It calculates the probability of each disease based on symptom patterns in the training data. When a new patient record is given, the model instantly classifies it by determining which disease is most likely based on the symptoms. After training the model, the next step is evaluation. How accurate is it? To find out, the dataset is divided into training and testing sets. One portion is used to teach the AI, while the other is used to see how well it predicts real cases. The AI's accuracy is measured using metrics like precision, recall, and F1 score, all of which determine how effectively the model diagnoses conditions. But AI isn't just about making a prediction. It's about making reliable predictions. If the AI misdiagnoses a serious illness or misses a life-threatening condition, the consequences could be severe. That's why Before deploying AI in real hospitals, developers fine-tune the model, adjusting its parameters to ensure it performs as accurately as possible. And this is just the beginning. Hospitals around the world are already testing AI-driven diagnosis systems. In the near future, a tool like this could be available in every clinic, helping doctors make faster, data-backed decisions. But once the model is built, the question remains, how do we measure its real-world performance? That's exactly what we'll explore next. Imagine you're a doctor with a brand new AI assistant. It's fast, efficient, and seems to diagnose patients with impressive accuracy. But before you trust it with real patients, there's one critical question you need answered. How well does it actually perform? This is where model evaluation comes in. AI isn't magic, it's math. And just like doctors must prove their expertise through years of training and exams, an AI model must prove its reliability and accuracy before it can be trusted with real-world decisions. The first step in evaluating an AI model is accuracy. How often does it make the right diagnosis? If an AI predicts flu 100 times and gets it right 90 times, that's a 90% accuracy rate. Sounds good, right? But accuracy alone isn't enough because in medicine, not all mistakes are equal. Imagine an AI is diagnosing cancer. If it predicts no cancer for 99 out of 100 patients and only one actually has cancer, the AI could still be 99% accurate. But that one mistake, it could be fatal. This is why accuracy isn't always the best metric, especially in healthcare. To get a clearer picture, we use three key evaluation metrics. First, there's precision. Precision measures how many of the AI's positive predictions were actually correct. In a cancer detection model, high precision means if the AI says you have cancer, it's probably right. This is crucial because a false cancer diagnosis can lead to unnecessary panic, stress, and treatment. Then there's recall. Recall measures how many actual positive cases the AI correctly identified. If 100 people have pneumonia and the AI only detects 60 of them, that's a recall of 60%, which means 40% of pneumonia cases go undiagnosed. In medicine, low recall is dangerous because it means real patients who need treatment are slipping through the cracks. To balance these two, we use the F1 score, which combines precision and recall into a single number. A good F1 score means the AI isn't just good at making correct predictions. It's also not missing important cases, but numbers on a screen aren't enough. AI must be tested on real-world cases. This is done by splitting the data into training and testing sets. The training set teaches the AI, and the testing set evaluates how well it performs on unseen data, just like a medical student practicing on real patients after studying textbooks. And this is where real-world surprises happen. Sometimes an AI model that performs brilliantly in testing fails miserably in actual hospital conditions. Why? Because real-life medical data is messy. Symptoms don't always fit neatly into categories. Patients might have multiple conditions at once. And worst of all, AI models can inherit biases from the data they were trained on. A real-world example. Some AI models have struggled with racial and gender bias. If a dataset contains mostly cases from one demographic, the AI might perform worse on patients outside that group. In one study, an AI used for skin cancer detection performed well on lighter skin tones, but struggled with darker skin simply because it hadn't been trained on diverse enough data. This is why evaluating AI isn't just about accuracy, it's about fairness, reliability, and ensuring it works for everyone. So what's next? Once an AI model passes its evaluation, it's time for fine-tuning. The model is adjusted, retrained, and improved until it reaches a level where doctors can trust it as a tool, not just a machine. But AI isn't just about making predictions. It's about making better decisions. And that's where hyperparameter tuning comes in, helping us push the model even further. Imagine training a new medical student. They've studied the textbooks, memorized symptoms, and passed all their tests, but now they're in the hospital making real diagnoses, and something isn't quite right. Maybe they're too cautious, sending too many patients for unnecessary tests, or maybe they're too aggressive, missing subtle symptoms and diagnosing only the most obvious cases. What do? You fine-tune them, you give them feedback, correct their mistakes, and adjust their approach until they're making the right decisions. AI works the same way. Even after training, an AI model might not be performing optimally. That's where hyperparameter tuning comes in, adjusting the settings of the model to improve accuracy and reliability. Hyperparameters are the dials and switches that control how the AI learns. One of the most important hyperparameters in Bernoulli Naive Bayes is alpha, also known as the smoothing parameter. Here's why it matters. Imagine an AI diagnosing pneumonia. It's been trained on thousands of cases, but let's say it has never seen a case where a patient has pneumonia but no fever. The AI might assume that a fever is always present in pneumonia, which isn't true. It just hasn't seen enough data. This is called the zero probability problem, when an AI assigns a probability of 0 to something just because it hasn't encountered it before. To fix this, we use Laplace smoothing, alpha 0. This tells the AI, even if you haven't seen this combination of symptoms before, don't assume it's impossible. Instead of assigning a probability of 0, the AI assigns a small but possible value, making it more adaptable to new cases. But how do we find the right alpha value? That's where grid search and random search come in. With grid search, the AI systematically tests different values of alpha 0.1, 0.5, 1.0, 2.0, and evaluates which one produces the best results. It's like trying on different sizes of a suit to find the perfect fit. With random search, instead of testing every possible value, the AI tries a random selection of values within a given range. This method is faster and often finds the best settings without needing to test everything. Hyperparameter tuning isn't just about improving accuracy. It's about making the model more robust, adaptable, and reliable in real-world conditions. Because in medicine, mistakes aren't just numbers, they're lives. A better tuned AI could mean detecting a disease earlier, reducing false positives, and ultimately helping doctors make the right call when it matters most. And speaking of real-world impact, how well does Bernoulli Naive Bayes actually perform in medical settings? Imagine waking up in the morning, grabbing your phone, and opening your email. Among the usual messages from work, newsletters you forgot to unsubscribe from, and shipping confirmations, there's another category, spam. There's an email from a mysterious prince offering you a fortune, another one promising that you've won a free iPhone, and of course, the classic urgent, your bank account has been compromised, email that looks suspiciously fake. Now, you might roll your eyes and delete them, but have you ever wondered, how does your email provider know which emails are spam and which ones are real? This is where Bernoulli Naive Bayes shines. Spam detection is one of the most famous applications of this model because emails, just like medical symptoms, can be broken down into binary features. Does the email contain the word prize? Yes or no. Does it contain urgent? Yes or no. Does it include click here? Yes or no. Every email is analyzed as a binary vector, a long sequence of yes-no decisions. The AI then compares these vectors to millions of past emails, learning which words and patterns are commonly found in spam versus non-spam messages. Let's look at how this works in a real-world case study. A team of researchers trained a Bernoulli Naive Bayes classifier on a data set of 5,000 emails. Half spam, half real. First, they pre-processed the emails, removing irrelevant characters and breaking down the text into binary features. Words like win, limited offer, free money were flagged as spam indicators, while words like meeting, invoice, schedule were more likely to appear in legitimate messages. Once trained, the AI was tested on new, unseen emails. The results were impressive. The AI achieved 92% accuracy in distinguishing between spam and non-spam messages. Precision for spam detection was 90%, meaning that 90% of the emails it labeled as spam were actually spam. Recall was 85%, meaning that it successfully caught 85% of all spam emails, though some still slipped through. This high accuracy is why Bernoulli Naive Bayes is still widely used in spam filters today, even with newer machine learning models emerging. It's fast, efficient, and works incredibly well with binary text data. But let's think bigger. How does this apply to medicine? The same logic used in spam detection, breaking down text into binary patterns, can be used in medical diagnosis. Instead of looking for spam words, AI scans for symptoms. Instead of flagging an email as spam, it flags a disease as present or absent. For example, hospitals use similar naive Bayes models to detect diseases based on symptoms, just like spam filters detect unwanted emails. A patient's symptom profile is analyzed, and the AI predicts whether they have a disease, just like it predicts whether an email is spam. And here's the best part. This isn't just theory. It's already happening. Hospitals around the world are using Bernoulli Naive Bayes for real-world diagnosis, helping doctors make faster, more accurate predictions. But is spam detection really the same as diagnosing a life-threatening disease? Is this AI reliable enough for high-stakes medical decisions? To answer that, let's look at another case study, how Bernoulli Naive Bayes is being used in sentiment analysis to track patient emotions and health outcomes. Imagine this. A patient walks into a hospital. They aren't physically ill, at least not in a way that shows up in traditional tests. They're struggling with something deeper, mental health issues, chronic pain, stress-related symptoms that don't have clear diagnostic markers. Doctors rely on what the patient tells them. I feel exhausted all the time. I've been having trouble sleeping. I just don't feel like myself. But how does a doctor quantify that? How can a healthcare system track and analyze millions of patient experiences, especially when mental health and emotional well-being don't always fit into a traditional medical framework? This is where sentiment analysis using Bernoulli Naive Bayes is making a difference. Every day, millions of patients leave online reviews about their healthcare experiences on hospital websites, patient forums, social media, and review platforms like Google Reviews or HealthGrades. These reviews are a goldmine of insight. But there's a problem. They are unstructured, free-flowing, and difficult to analyze manually. A single hospital might receive thousands of written reviews, ranging from short comments like, "The doctor was great, but the wait time was too long. I felt ignored. They didn't listen to me at all. Amazing service. I felt truly cared for." Now imagine trying to analyze thousands or millions of these comments manually. It's impossible. But an AI model? It can scan through millions of words, sentences, and emotions, breaking them down into patterns and insights. Using Bernoulli Naive Bayes, hospitals can train AI systems to recognize whether a patient review expresses a positive, negative, or neutral experience. Words like compassionate, helpful, and amazing indicate a positive sentiment. Words like ignored, rushed, cold suggest a negative experience. Neutral statements like average experience, long wait times, but good doctor help provide balanced feedback. By converting patient sentiment into binary data, positive or negative, AI can classify thousands of reviews in seconds. A major healthcare provider wanted to improve patient satisfaction in their hospitals. They collected over 50,000 patient reviews from various sources and ran them through a Bernoulli Naive Bayes classifier. Here's what happened next. The AI analyzed common patterns. It discovered that patients were mostly satisfied with the doctors, but had major frustrations with waiting times and front desk staff. It identified hidden negative trends. While most official surveys showed high satisfaction, the AI picked up a growing trend of complaints about lack of follow-up care, something that wasn't as obvious in numerical survey results. Hospitals used the AI insights to make real changes. They increased follow-up calls, restructured appointment scheduling to reduce waiting times, and trained staff to be more patient-focused. The results? Within 6 months, patient satisfaction increased by 22% and online reviews became significantly more positive. Unlike more complex AI models that require huge data sets and deep learning techniques, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is fast, efficient, and works incredibly well for text classification. Sentences can be broken down into simple word presence or absence. Does the review contain the word excellent? Yes, 1 or no, 0. Does it contain frustrating? Yes, 1 or no, 0. Does it have caring? Yes, 1 or no, 0. By training on thousands of past reviews, the AI learns which words are associated with positive or negative experiences, and then applies this knowledge to new reviews instantly. This isn't just theory, it's already happening. Major hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, and mental health organizations are using sentiment analysis AI to track patient happiness frustration points, recurring complaints changes in emotional well-being over time and in the future. Hospitals could use AI-powered sentiment analysis to detect early signs of mental health decline. Imagine if an AI could analyze a patient's speech patterns, social media posts, or text messages to recognize early signs of depression or anxiety. Instead of waiting for patients to reach a crisis point, AI could alert healthcare providers early, allowing for faster intervention and support. But while Bernoulli Naive Bayes is powerful for sentiment analysis, it's not perfect, language is complex, and emotions aren't always as simple as positive versus negative. So the big question is, how can we improve this AI even further? That's what we'll explore next. Imagine a patient walks into a clinic, coughing and feeling exhausted. The doctor asks a few questions, checks their temperature, and listens to their breathing. But instead of relying purely on experience and intuition, the doctor has a second opinion, an AI-powered assistant that instantly analyzes the symptoms and predicts possible diagnoses with impressive accuracy. This isn't science fiction, it's happening right now. Hospitals and research institutions are using Bernoulli Naive Bayes to help diagnose diseases faster, improve decision-making, and reduce errors. Let's look at a real-world case study. A team of medical researchers wanted to develop an AI model to predict disease based on symptoms. They collected a dataset of 10,000 patient records, each labeled with a confirmed diagnosis. The dataset included binary symptom indicators, meaning every symptom was marked as either present, 1, or absent, 0. For example, a pneumonia patient's record might look like this: fever, 1, cough, 1, chest pain, 0, shortness of breath, 1, while a flu patient's record might look like this: fever, 1, cough, 1 chest pain, 0, shortness of breath, 0. Once the dataset was structured, the AI was trained using Bernoulli Naive Bayes. Unlike deep learning models that require massive computational resources, this AI was able to train quickly and efficiently on standard hospital computers. After training the AI on 8,000 patient records, it was tested on 2,000 new cases to see how well it could predict diseases. The results were groundbreaking. Accuracy: the AI correctly diagnosed diseases 87% of the time. Precision: when the AI predicted a disease, it was 85% likely to be correct. Recall: it successfully identified 90% of all true cases, meaning it rarely missed a real illness. In some cases, the AI even outperformed human doctors, particularly when diagnosing rare conditions. Why? Because while a doctor might have seen a few hundred cases of a rare disease in their career, the AI had been trained on thousands of past cases, allowing it to recognize subtle patterns a human might miss. Many hospitals are already integrating AI-powered diagnosis systems alongside human doctors. These models are being used to detect early signs of diseases like pneumonia, sepsis, and COVID-19 based on binary symptom data, provide second opinions in cases where doctors are unsure of a diagnosis, improve diagnosis speed, allowing doctors to make faster, data-backed decisions in emergency situations. While Bernoulli Naive Bayes has proven highly effective in disease classification, it's not perfect. The model assumes symptoms are independent of one another, which isn't always true. In reality, many symptoms are connected. Shortness of breath and chest pain are often indicators of the same condition, not separate ones. Additionally, non-binary data is a challenge. If a symptom's severity matters, like whether a fever is mild or dangerously high, Bernoulli Naive Bayes won't account for that. To overcome these limitations, researchers are now combining Bernoulli Naive Bayes with more advanced AI techniques. Hybrid models, which blend naive Bayes with deep learning or decision trees, are being tested to improve accuracy while keeping AI models efficient and easy to implement. One thing is clear, AI is revolutionizing medical diagnosis. It's not here to replace doctors, but to make them better, faster, and more accurate than ever before. But diagnosing diseases is only one side of AI in healthcare. The next big question, how does Bernoulli Naive Bayes hold up when analyzing long-term patient data and predicting future health risks? Imagine standing in front of a control panel with hundreds of switches, each one representing a different symptom, a different data point, a different possible outcome. This is how Bernoulli Naive Bayes sees the world, as a structured system of yes-no decisions, calculating probabilities at lightning speed. It's powerful, it's efficient, and it's being used in hospitals, businesses, and security systems worldwide. But like any tool, it has its strengths and weaknesses. It thrives in certain situations and falls short in others. To fully understand its impact, let's break it down with a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Speed is one of its biggest advantages. Unlike deep learning models that require huge amounts of processing power, Bernoulli Naive Bayes works with minimal computational resources, making it fast, lightweight, and easy to deploy. That's why it's widely used in real-time applications like spam detection, fraud prevention, and medical diagnosis. Another major strength is how well it performs with small datasets. Many machine learning models require massive amounts of data to function correctly, but Bernoulli Naive Bayes can produce highly accurate results even with limited data, which is why it's so useful in medical research and disease detection. It's also highly interpretable. Unlike black box AI models, where decisions are difficult to explain, Bernoulli Naive Bayes provides clear, probability-based predictions, making it easier for doctors, security analysts, and businesses to understand why a decision was made, but it's not perfect. The biggest issue, it assumes that all features, symptoms, words, or data points are independent of each other. In reality, that's rarely the case. A patient with chest pain and shortness of breath isn't experiencing two separate symptoms. They're likely linked to a single underlying condition, such as a heart attack, but the AI doesn't understand those relationships. It treats each symptom as an isolated piece of information. It also struggles with non-binary data. Many real-world problems can't be broken down into simple yes-no answers. In medicine, for example, a fever isn't just present or absent. It could be mild, moderate, or dangerously high. But Bernoulli Naive Bayes can't handle that nuance. Another limitation? Class imbalance. If an AI is trained on a dataset where one disease is much more common than another, it may start favoring the more frequent disease, leading to biased predictions. This is a major issue in medical diagnosis, where rare but serious diseases must not be overlooked. Despite its weaknesses, Bernoulli Naive Bayes has enormous potential. In healthcare, it's already being used to assist in disease diagnosis, detect rare conditions faster, and analyze massive amounts of patient data in real time. With better datasets and hybrid AI models, its accuracy can be dramatically improved. Beyond medicine, cybersecurity is another huge opportunity. Banks and financial institutions use AI-powered fraud detection to flag unusual transactions. Just like Bernoulli Naive Bayes detects spam in emails, it can detect fraudulent activity in banking transactions. And let's not forget real-time AI applications. As industries move towards faster, on-the-spot decision-making, models like Bernoulli Naive Bayes, which work in milliseconds, will be in even higher demand. The biggest threat to Bernoulli Naive Bayes? More advanced AI models. As deep learning and neural networks become cheaper and more efficient, they might eventually replace simple models like naive Bayes in areas where high accuracy is required. Another risk is data privacy and regulation. AI models trained on medical or financial data must comply with strict laws such as HIPAA for healthcare and GDPR for consumer data protection. If AI systems like Bernoulli Naive Bayes aren't handled correctly, they could face legal and ethical challenges in the future. And finally, human skepticism is always a challenge. Many professionals, including doctors, lawyers, and analysts, are still hesitant to trust AI-driven decision-making, especially in high-risk fields where lives and careers are on the line. Overcoming this trust barrier is crucial for AI adoption. Bernoulli Naive Bayes is far from obsolete. It remains one of the most effective, efficient, and interpretable machine learning models in the world. While more advanced AI models might outperform it in certain areas, its speed, simplicity, and adaptability ensure that it will remain a powerful tool for years to come. But how did we get here? What are the key breakthroughs in AI history that led to the development of Bernoulli Naive Bayes and similar models? Imagine stepping back in time, before AI, before computers, before the idea of machine learning even existed. Picture a room filled with handwritten notes, chalkboards covered in mathematical equations, and brilliant minds trying to quantify the uncertainty of the world. That's where this story begins. Long before AI started diagnosing diseases, filtering spam, or detecting fraud, there was a fundamental problem. How do we make decisions under uncertainty? How do we take the limited information we have and use it to predict an unknown outcome? This is the question that led to the birth of Bayes' theorem, the foundation of naive Bayes models. The story starts in the 1740s with a Presbyterian minister and mathematician Thomas Bayes. He wasn't a computer scientist. Computers didn't exist yet. But he was fascinated by the idea of probability, specifically how we can update our beliefs based on new evidence. Bayes developed a simple but groundbreaking formula. If you have an initial belief about something, a prior probability, and you receive new evidence related to it, you can update your belief mathematically to make a better prediction. This became known as Bayes' theorem, and it would change the world. But at the time, no one paid much attention to it. Bayes never published his work. It was discovered and refined later by Pierre-Simon Laplace, a French mathematician, who extended it into what we now know as Bayesian probability. For nearly 200 years, Bayes' theorem remained an abstract mathematical concept. But everything changed in the 1940s when computers arrived. Suddenly, we had the ability to apply probability to real-world data at a scale that was impossible before. Researchers realized that Bayes' theorem could be used to make predictions based on patterns in data. But there was a problem. Bayesian models required too many calculations when dealing with large data sets. The solution? Naive Bayes. In the 1960s, AI researchers developed a simplified version of Bayesian probability, making one key assumption, that all features, symptoms, words, or data points are independent of each other. It wasn't perfect, but it worked, and it worked fast. For decades, naive Bayes remained an academic concept until the 1990s, when researchers in natural language processing, NLP, realized its potential for spam filtering and text classification. With the rise of email and digital communication, companies needed a way to automatically detect spam. Traditional rule-based approaches were slow and inefficient. But Naive Bayes, it was a game changer. By analyzing word presence in emails, just like Bernoulli Naive Bayes does, spam filters could instantly classify messages as either legitimate or spam with incredible accuracy. This was the moment when Naive Bayes became one of the most widely used machine learning algorithms in the world. In the early 2000s, machine learning exploded, and Naive Bayes expanded beyond spam detection into medical diagnosis. AI systems began using Naive Bayes to classify diseases based on symptoms. Fraud detection. Banks started applying Naive Bayes to flag suspicious transactions. Sentiment analysis. Businesses used it to analyze customer feedback and detect trends in consumer behavior. The biggest reason for its popularity, speed and simplicity. While more advanced AI models were being developed, Naive Bayes remained one of the fastest and most efficient classification algorithms available. Today we live in the era of deep learning and neural networks, where AI models are bigger, more powerful, and more complex than ever before. So where does Naive Bayes fit in? The answer: it's still widely used, not because it's the most advanced, but because it's fast, interpretable, and effective in the right situations. In healthcare, it continues to assist in medical diagnosis and patient data analysis. In cybersecurity, it's used to detect fraud and phishing attacks. In business, it powers real-time decision-making in customer service and product recommendations. From handwritten notes in the 1700s to powering AI-driven diagnosis in hospitals today, the journey of Naive Bayes has been nothing short of revolutionary. But what's next? Can Naive Bayes evolve? Can it be combined with deep learning for even greater accuracy? That's what we'll explore next, the future of Naive Bayes and AI research. Imagine walking into a hospital 10 years from now. There are no paper charts, no doctors flipping through patient files. Instead, an AI-powered assistant instantly analyzes your medical history, symptoms, genetic data, and even real-time biometric signals from your smartwatch. Before you've even finished describing your symptoms, the AI has already suggested the most likely diagnosis and the best treatment plan. This isn't just a fantasy. It's the direction AI in medicine is heading. And Naive Bayes models, including Bernoulli Naive Bayes, are still playing a role in this transformation. One of the biggest trends in AI research today is real-time data processing. Instead of AI models working with static datasets from the past, researchers are now focusing on AI systems that can process live, continuously updating data, especially in healthcare. Hospitals are already testing real-time AI-powered monitoring systems for critical care patients. These models continuously analyze incoming patient data, heart rate, oxygen levels, blood pressure, lab results, and predict complications before they happen. Naive Bayes is particularly well suited for this because of its speed and efficiency. Unlike deep learning models that require enormous processing power, Naive Bayes can run on lightweight systems, making it ideal for emergency care, wearable health devices, and telemedicine applications. Another breakthrough in AI research is the combination of Naive Bayes with deep learning models. While Naive Bayes is fast and interpretable, deep learning models are better at handling complex, unstructured data, like medical images, genetic sequences, and free text patient notes. Researchers are now building hybrid models where Naive Bayes is used as a pre-processing step for deep learning networks. The Naive Bayes model rapidly classifies structured data, while deep learning models handle more nuanced analysis. For example, a hospital AI system might use Naive Bayes to classify a patient's symptoms into possible disease categories in milliseconds. Send the classification results to a neural network, which processes detailed medical images or genetic data to confirm the diagnosis. This combination allows faster, more accurate AI-driven diagnoses, combining the speed of naive Bayes with the deep insights of neural networks. With the explosion of electronic health records, EHRs, wearable health devices, and genetic sequencing, hospitals are now generating petabytes of data every year. Traditional machine learning models struggle to process this volume efficiently. One new area of research is scaling naive Bayes for big data applications. AI researchers are developing distributed computing techniques that allow naive Bayes models to process billions of data points across multiple servers in real time. This could allow hospitals to build AI models that analyze global patient trends, detect disease outbreaks early, and even personalize treatment recommendations for individuals based on worldwide medical data. Beyond diagnosis, naive Bayes is also being explored for drug discovery and personalized medicine. Pharmaceutical companies are using naive Bayes classifiers to predict how new drugs will interact with different biological systems, cutting down the time it takes to test new treatments. Personalized medicine research is using AI models to determine which treatments are most likely to work for specific patients based on their genetic profiles. Since naive Bayes works well with binary data, it's a natural fit for classifying genetic mutations and predicting whether a patient will respond to a certain drug or not. With great power comes great responsibility. As AI models, including naive Bayes, become more integrated into high-stakes medical decisions, researchers must also address major ethical concerns. Bias in AI models. If a model is trained on data that doesn't represent all patient populations, it can lead to biased or inaccurate diagnoses for underrepresented groups. Transparency and explainability. While naive Bayes is more interpretable than deep learning models, researchers must ensure doctors and patients understand how AI reaches its conclusions, AI regulation and patient trust. As AI-powered diagnosis systems become more common, global regulations will be necessary to ensure AI recommendations are reliable, safe, and fair. We are entering an era where AI and medicine are converging at an unprecedented pace. From real-time monitoring to hybrid AI models, from drug discovery to personalized treatment plans, naive Bayes is still playing a crucial role in the AI revolution. But the big question remains, how do we balance AI's speed and efficiency with human expertise and ethical responsibility? That's exactly what we'll discuss next. Imagine a world where AI-powered diagnosis is as common as a stethoscope. A world where diseases are detected earlier, where doctors get instant second opinions, and where patient care is optimized through intelligent algorithms. We've explored how Bernoulli Naive Bayes, a seemingly simple probability-based classifier, has become one of the most widely used AI models in healthcare, spam detection, fraud prevention, and sentiment analysis. But before we wrap up, let's step back and reflect on what we've learned. At its core, Bernoulli Naive Bayes is a model designed to handle binary classification problems, whether it's deciding if an email is spam or not, predicting if a patient has pneumonia, or determining whether a customer review is positive or negative. Bernoulli Naive Bayes thrives in yes or no, present or absent situations. It's fast, efficient, and performs well even with small datasets. This is why it's still widely used in medicine, business, and cybersecurity, despite the rise of more complex AI models, speed, and simplicity. It requires minimal computational power and works in real time, making it ideal for healthcare applications, fraud detection, and text classification. Works with small datasets. Unlike deep learning, which demands massive data, Bernoulli Naive Bayes can produce reliable results even with limited information. Highly interpretable, it doesn't operate like a black box AI. Its probability-based decisions are explainable and transparent, making it easier to trust in high-stakes applications like medicine. But as we've seen, no AI model is perfect. It assumes feature independence. It treats every symptom, word, or data point as if it's unrelated, which isn't always realistic in complex medical cases. It struggles with non-binary data. The real world isn't just yes or no. Sometimes the intensity of symptoms, word frequency, or severity levels matter. It can inherit biases from its training data. If the data set it learns from is imbalanced or not representative, it can produce biased or misleading results. Despite its limitations, Bernoulli Naive Bayes continues to evolve. Hybrid AI models are combining naive Bayes with deep learning for more nuanced decision-making in medicine, finance, and cybersecurity. Real-time AI applications are making diagnosis faster and more accessible, especially in telemedicine and wearable health tracking. AI-powered medical tools are becoming more regulated and transparent, ensuring fair and ethical decision-making. AI isn't here to replace doctors, business analysts, or cybersecurity experts. It's here to enhance human decision-making. Whether you're in healthcare, technology, or business, understanding how AI models like Bernoulli Naive Bayes work is crucial in today's world. It's not just about code and algorithms, it's about how we use AI to make better, smarter, and more ethical decisions. So what's next? The future of AI is being shaped right now. If you want to stay ahead, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep questioning how we can build AI that truly serves humanity. And if you found this insightful, make sure to subscribe, like, and share, because the AI revolution is just getting started.